tremendous excitement in the air. India and France coming together, celebrating 25 years of strategic partnership. And of course, when we talk about Rafale Marines, who better than the captain of Charles de Gaulle, the French aircraft carrier, with me on the broadcast. Captain Sebastian, welcome on India Today. How are you, sir?
Very good, very good.
So, you were in India earlier this year. You've been operating extensively with the Indian Navy. Tell us what's your sense right now when the Indian Navy and the Indian Armed Forces and the French Armed Forces will be together on Bastille Day.
It's very honor for us because we were operating 6 months ago off the coast of Goa with Indian Navy and Indian Air Force, and today being together for the 25th anniversary of our strategic partnership is very an honor for us. It's very powerful. It's a lot of meaning for the future.
It indeed is. I also want to understand from you the power of a Rafale Marine. You know, as the captain of Charles de Gaulle, what can you tell us about Rafale Marines, sir?
Rafale Marine is a fully polyvalent aircraft between 4th and 5th generation of fighters. It's very adaptable. It has been adaptive for all this year. Since 2001 for his first commission to today and for the future. It's a very evolutive multi-role combat aircraft and very powerful. It's able to operate from an airbase or from an aircraft carrier. So it's very polyvalent.
So when you were in India, were the Rafale Marines on board the Charles de Gaulle? Were they a part of the exercise? Has the Indian Navy seen it, and what does the Indian Navy think of it in your view?
I don't know, you have to tell them, but yes, we had very interesting tactical partnerships between MiG-29 of the Indian Navy and the French Navy Rafale, and of course the Sukhoi 30 of Indian Air Force. It was very interesting to boost our tactical capacities or interoperability within this 25th anniversary of our strategic partnership.
It's the 25th anniversary of our strategic partnership. Captain, stay with me for a moment. We also have Captain Peer with us on this broadcast. And again, Shiv, Captain Peer is someone who's been to India, operated on board Charles de Gaulle on flight operations. Again, I'd like to understand from you the capabilities of the Rafale Marine in your view.
Yes, like the CEO said, it's a very, very polyvalent aircraft, so it can fulfill a very lot of missions and very long-range missions with lot of ammunition, and it is self-sufficient because it's capable to do air-to-air refueling and so on. So that's why this aircraft is very important. And as the captain said, it's very evolutive. It's the Rafales of today is not the Rafales at the beginning. It has been enhanced. Its capabilities have been enhanced, and now it's very powerful aircraft.
Shiv, you understand aviation very well, especially Rafales. We've seen the Rafales in operation in Libya in 2011. Yes. We've seen the Rafales in operations in several other parts. So what role do we envisage for the Rafale Marines in your view? What roles do they play?
It could be either an offensive role for a deep strike versus ground targets. It could be also deep strike versus maritime targets. Like I said, it's very polyvalent. But it also can be a defensive aircraft to defend a point, to defend an area, to defend a task force, a naval force, for example. It's all that we use it in the French Navy, the carrier strike group.
We are currently in Versailles in France, and with me is India's defense attaché to Paris. With me is Brigadier Zubin Bhatnagar ahead of the Bastille Day parade. Preparations are on, and Brigadier Bhatnagar, what can you tell us about the training that's currently underway for the Bastille Day parade?
Okay, Gaurav, first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity, and a very warm welcome to you as well in Paris. Now, as you are aware, we have a tri-services contingent from the Army, Navy and the Air Force, and the band from the Indian Army, which are currently here to participate in the Bastille Day parade. Now, alongside this, we also have two more representations, and that is, one is INS Chennai, which is coming to Brest tomorrow, and shall also be participating in the Bastille Day parade at Brest. So we also have the representation there, and of course the fly past of our Rafales, the Indian Rafales along with the French Rafales. Now coming on to the
This is actually significant. So you have the Indian Army, Navy, and Air Force marching contingents. You have the Rajputana Rifles here. Now you also have the Punjab Regiment, and Punjab Regiment and France. They have a history which goes back 100 years plus.
Absolutely, Gaurav. As you are aware, the Punjab Regiment had participated in the World War I and the area of Naf that is the Flanders Fields, and there we also have a CWGC memorial in which 408 martyrs are there who had made the supreme sacrifice. And in fact, as we are talking, we already have it on our plans that after the Bastille Day parade, the valiant soldiers of Punjab Regiment will be going to Naf to pay their homage to the men who had made the supreme sacrifice. So this is a sacrifice which is remembered by the people of Naf Richburg in particular, and whole of France regarding the huge contribution which the Indian Army had made at that point of time for the peace in the world.
So imagine Indian Army shed blood in France and Flanders in the First World War and in the Second World War. In fact, the Punjab Regiment very proudly carries the battle honours France and Flanders. But this is a relationship that has endured all the tests of time. That India-France friendship, this is celebrating Silver Jubilee, 25 years of that strategic partnership.
Absolutely.
What's special now?
Absolutely, Gaurav, 25 years of strategic partnership, and this is a relationship which has evolved over a period of time. It has stood the test of time, right from the time when India had done its nuclear tests, and thereafter it is both in the fields of the capacity building and capability building. When I speak about the defense cooperation, it is absolutely institutionalized. We have our various mechanisms. You'll be aware that high-level visits. Recently, the Chief of the Army Staff was here last year in the month of November. It was a 5-day very intensive visit. We have had all our chiefs visiting, even the vice chiefs. We have the highest levels of subject matter expert exchanges coming and visiting each other. There are exercises. There's exercise Shakti between our armies, exercise Garuda between the two air force, and of course Varuna, which is between the navies. So the institutionalized mechanism is working very well, and between India and France, we are also looking at cooperating in a major way in co-design development of some platforms in the niche technology, and you will surely come to know about it in the due course.
So this is not just a buyer-seller relationship, is what you are telling me. It is. Are you thinking about co-developing and co-manufacturing military hardware? Like the Scorpion submarines. Indian Navy operates the Scorpion submarines, but Vakshir, the sixth of those submarines, I think by next year that should be ready. So what happens to MDL beyond that, sir?
You're right. Under the Scorpion project, there were 6 submarines which have been developed at MDL, and the 6th submarine is at the moment in sea trials and is likely to be commissioned early next year. And so this is a cooperation which has really evolved over a period of time, and the MDL, the Naval Group, the Indian Navy are very happy about the same.
This is India and France, two powerful democracies, operating together, and two militaries operating together. What is the interoperability like between our armed forces and the French armed forces?
Gaurav, a very interesting question, and in fact I'll just like to elaborate that once our troops have come here for the Bastille Day parade, the synergy between the French armed forces and our armed forces, I'll say, is seamless. There has never been a problem in understanding as to how we have to operate together. I realized this when we had done exercise Shakti. Our drills, procedures, understanding of the issues is very, very common. And despite the fact that some people will say that there could be a language barrier, but I think in the militaries, it is your drills and the processes and the common understanding which binds you together, and that's at a very high level with the French armed forces.
So, for joining me here on this India Today special at Versailles, Brigadier Bhatnagar, many thanks.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. So that's India's defense attaché, Brigadier Bhatnagar, talking about these soldiers of the Rajputana Rifles, of the Punjab Regiment, of the Indian Navy, the Indian Air Force, all operating together, all a part of the Bastille Day parade. In Versailles, France, Gaurav Sawant for India Today. It's a relationship that survived a nuclear test and is flourishing. India and France all set to celebrate the silver jubilee of their strategic ties. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be in Paris, and with me is Ambassador Javed Ashraf, India's ambassador to France. Ambassador, this is a relationship that's said to be a visit that's said to be high both on substance and on symbolism. Sir, let's begin with the symbolism. We are told a red carpet is being laid out for the Prime Minister. What will happen, sir?
Well, as you're right, I mean, this is a visit that is high both on symbolism and substance. Substance part I cannot talk about at this point of time. You will see what the Prime Minister and President Macron decide during their 2 days of talks here in Paris. But it is truly a moment of great pride and honor for India and for Prime Minister that he's been invited as the guest of honor here at the French National Day on July 14. He will, but I wanted to tell you that this is not something that happens every year. France does not have a practice of inviting a guest of honor from outside every year. It happens usually on a special occasion, for a special purpose, or to send a message of great importance globally. And I think this visit and this honor to the Prime Minister and to India is to be seen in that context. This is, of course, a moment of great pride for us also because there will be a tri-service contingent that will be participating in the parade in the morning on July 14. There will be 3 Rafales which will fly in formation with the Rafales of the French Air Force. And in the port of Brest, which is a major strategic naval base for France, our indigenous stealth destroyer INS Chennai will be stationed, will be berthed there, and they will be also saluting the people of France and saluting the relationship and our 2 leaders, Prime Minister and President Macron.
Sir, 3 Rafales of the Indian Air Force will be a part of the flypast. Will 26 Rafale Marines also be flying to India or be made in India?
I think there's been far too much speculation on this particular issue in the media, and I think these are decisions that are best left to be taken in due course through the appropriate procedures, through appropriate channels. And I'm sure our defense cooperation in all its dimensions, operational cooperation, military exercises, intelligence cooperation, the role of France in enabling India's capacities to increase, but also in fulfilling its ambition of an Atmanirbhar defense industry. All of these will be, I'm sure, subjects of great discussions between Prime Minister and President. But it'll be unfair to cast this relationship in the narrow confines of defense and security, because ours is a relationship which is truly comprehensive. There are 5 very strong pillars of this partnership. There is the political and diplomatic relationship, which is important and consequential both in the context of the Indo-Pacific region. As you know, India and France are the major resident powers of the Indian Ocean region. France is resident also in the Pacific. But it is also important in the context of the international order. And we are 2 countries that have deep and abiding commitment to multilateralism in a multipolar world. We have shared perspectives in addressing the multitude of global challenges that countries of the world are facing, and we are 2 countries that want to increase cohesion and unity in a world that seems to be increasingly fragmenting because of many structural changes and challenges.
Absolutely, sir. And will this relationship get a thrust of a jet engine that will also be made in India, designed and developed together between the 2 countries?
You didn't let me complete the rest of what I was going to say about the pillars of the relationship. So you've now come on to the second pillar, which is defense security. Space and nuclear, they have been very important partners. In fact, the first partner for us in the space sector. And it's really a moment of great pride for India that today we work as partners. It's something France helped us enter the space journey, but today we are 2 countries that work as equal partners in launches, in satellites, in Earth observations, in communications, and increasingly in making our space more secure.
That was the point I was coming to.
And the third, let me complete this, because you are now jumping the gun, and it's important to point out that this relationship has a very strong economic and technology pillar also. There are 39 of the top 40 French CAC 40 companies are present in India, doing extremely well. Many are leaders contributing to India's industrialization, exports out of India. Many are making India their export hub or integrating India into their global supply chains. Manufacturing, research, design and development of some of the most sensitive technologies. Similarly, it is a growing presence of Indian companies here in France as a gateway to Europe. We are two countries that have been always working together in advanced computing and supercomputing. Capgemini setting up its 6G lab in India. And now we are working together as no two countries are in digital public infrastructure, demonstrating that India's success in digital public infrastructure is not just for countries like India or for developing countries of the global south, that there are applications of digital public infrastructure in developed world as well, and that together there's great philosophical convergence between our two countries. We want to show that we want to build a world where the internet is also defined by the values that we share, which is open, inclusive, democratic.
Absolutely, and very essential. But on space, security, protecting satellites, is that an area where India and France are going to work together? Because is space the next frontier when it comes to war?
Wherever human beings take their activities, competition and conflict also migrate to those domains. So we've created a cyber world. There's conflict now, competition, and strategic challenges in the cyber. We went underwater to secure ourselves, to explore assets. There are more and more competition underwater. And similarly, it's in the space domain. Now, how we work with various countries, how we collaborate, and how we define our partnership is something that is left for the two sides to discuss in the privacy of their meetings and their collaborations. But what I'd like to say is that these are areas where we only work very closely with countries in which we have complete trust.
And India and France have complete trust in each other.
Yes.
And there is an adversary that is increasingly lurking underwater in the Indian Ocean region that Quad countries are very apprehensive about. India, that's our backwaters, the entire Indian Ocean from North American Sea to South China Sea, but no, not Arabian Sea to South China Sea. But if I may, in subsurface domain awareness and submarines, are we building submarines more at the Mazagaon Docks Limited, and are we getting to know more subsurface operations together?
I mean, India, as you know, is strategically located in the Indian Ocean and is a major contributor to the to security of the Indian Ocean region, to keep the sea lanes of communication open, to ensure that this is a global common accessible to all, and that we are a major power, major player in advancing a more stable, secure, peaceful, and prosperous, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific region. And for that, we, of course, have to work on two planks. We build our capacities and we build our coalitions. Now, coalitions isn't about alliances or treaties. It's about different ways in which countries work together, exchange information, collaborate, share information, do things together. There are different ways in which we do these things. So whether it is our capacity building or whether it is what we might call coalition building, that is working with other partners with similar objectives, these are areas where we work with our most trusted partners.
Is France our most trusted partner in terms of looking at future technologies and making things together?
I don't see why you have to ask such definitive questions. Is it the most trusted? Is it the second most trusted? But I would say out of that, it is certainly a relationship of great trust and confidence, and it has been tested in some of the most difficult times, as you have seen during 1998, when the world was not necessarily as friendly to us as it is now, when many of the countries that are very close partners of ours were not on our side during that era, when we were confronting a world in transition after the collapse of the Cold War, when we were ourselves emerging out of our economic challenges. It was a time when India and France signed a strategic partnership declaration in January of 1998. And it was, again, something that showed great deal of trust and faith in each other. And it was built on 6 decades of close partnership and cooperation. We are two countries that, of course, have democratic values. We both respect international law. We both have an abiding faith and commitment to multilateral systems and multipolar world. We are great believers in the UN Charter. But there's something also very unique and special to us. We both have an absolutely unwavering commitment to strategic autonomy. When we have that sense of strategic autonomy, we also have a great deal of mutual respect, because we know we are two countries that come with very independent thought processes to the world. And that has been a very strong glue between our two countries. So let me not just get into the issue of which is the most trusted, less trusted, etc., but just to say that the range of cooperation that we have between India and France is itself an evidence, an indicator of the nature and the level of trust that we enjoy.
How do Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Macron now take it forward beyond the silver jubilee towards the golden jubilee?
Well, I think that's the subject of their discussions on the 13th and 14th of July. I'm sure they both have high ambitions in this partnership. They both talk to each other regularly. They meet each other very frequently, especially on the margins of multilateral meetings. And I'm sure this will be an opportunity for them not just to celebrate this important milestone and a remarkable journey of the past 25 years, but to also lay out an ambitious and a roadmap for the future, taking into account the emerging geopolitical transitions and challenges that we are seeing. We're really at a moment in human history when the world is undergoing profound changes. And it is important for these two leaders who think at a very global level, who think at a very strategic level, to really see how they can help the advance a very stable, secure, peaceful, and a prosperous, and a more united and cohesive future, a more sustainable future for the world.
And finding peace in Ukraine would also be part of it before I let you go?
The two of them talk about all kinds of global challenges, and naturally Ukraine would always feature in their conversations, but it is not about positions. It is about solutions. It is about how do you bring an end to this war, and Prime Minister has been very, very vocal, principled, categorical in private and in public, and you've heard him say that on many occasions about the need to bring an end to this war and for both sides to return to the path of dialogue and diplomacy. And that's one set of issues that Prime Minister and President Macron do discuss and will discuss, and that also, of course, means what lies ahead for the overall balance and security and peace in the region and beyond, and what will be the impact of this on the international system, international order. But there is the second issue which they really devote a lot of their time to, which is to address the consequences of the war, particularly on the rest of the world, on the global south. And we discuss a lot about issues relating to food security, to inflation, to energy crisis, to the slowdown in the economic growth of many of these developing countries or countries in the global south, and to the rising level of indebtedness that they face, which really constrains their ability to think ahead for their future. These are important issues, and if we are looking at a world which has faith and credibility in the international system, then we need to work together to address their challenges. President Macron has spoken about it on a number of occasions, about the world not becoming West versus the rest, about the West needing to listen to the South. Prime Minister has been consistently advocating it for the past 1.5 years. In a sense, he's really become the voice of the global South. But not just a voice of the global South, he's also become a bridge between the North and the South. And I think in addressing both the consequences of the war on the world, but also in seeing how this war could be brought to an end, I think this will be a subject of discussions between the two leaders, as it has been on previous occasions.
Sir, for joining me here on this India Today special, many thanks.
Thank you very much.
As India and France gear up for the Bastille Day parade, let me quickly bring into this conversation Captain Adrian of the French Army Marine Corps. Captain, how are you?
Hi, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Very, very good. Thank you.
So, tell me about the preparations for the Bastille Day parade. How many French armed forces personnel will be a part of the parade?
More than 6,000.
6,000.
Yeah, 6,000 French personnel in total, including your contingent with us.
So, and what has your experience been like with the Indian Army contingent, Indian Armed Forces?
A very good experience. I did not know much about the Indian contingent before they came to France a week ago. And since that, I can tell we have very good relationships. We find a way to appreciate each other's, and we start to know each other better and better, and it will keep going like this. I think, and I hope it will be.
Excellent. How long is the parade? What's the duration of the Bastille Day parade?
The Bastille Day parade will be 2 hours, and they will be marching for 800 meters.
And they march from where to where, and how many people come to witness it?
How many people, I couldn't tell, but many thousands people will see that, and many millions will see that on TV, on different media. And they will march between the Arc de Triomphe to the Place de la Concorde, where the French president, and the Indian Prime Minister will be seeing the parade.
Okay. I wish you all the best for a superb parade.
Yes, and your Indian contingent is doing a very, very great work. I can tell, and I can tell because I've been seeing them for a week now, and I can tell every people, army, civilians, French people seeing them drilling, doing their drills. Everybody says they are doing a very, very great job.
And have you had Indian food so far, or have they had French food?
Yes, they had French food. I didn't have Indian food so far, but it should be something we can do soon.
Okay.
Yeah, very soon.
Okay. Captain Adrian of the Marine Corps, have you had joint exercises with India? Have you participated in it?
Not yet. That's my very first interaction with Indian people.
Okay.
And a very good one, I can tell.
Captain Adrian, thank you very much for speaking to India today.
Thank you very much for you.
So this is the association between the Indian contingent and the French contingent. We are currently at the Arc de Triomphe and preparations for the parade on in full swing. Gaurav Sawant in Paris, France for India Today. The full dress rehearsal of the Bastille Day parade in India Today is the only channel to be a part of this parade, showing you the visuals as they happen. This is the full dress rehearsal of the parade, and India Today is on board one of the military vehicles, one of the French army military vehicles, as the Indian contingent marches down the Champs-Élysées, and this is where Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the French President Emmanuel Macron will be watching the parade. Let me show you those images of the Indian contingent. That is the Indian Navy contingent. Up ahead is the Indian Army Rajputana Rifles marching band, and right in the beginning of the parade, that is the Punjab regiment. But once again, we are with the French Army and showing you the marching contingent. Every minute is being timed to perfection. Gaurav Sawant in Paris, France for India Today. So we've been here at this triangle in Paris since 4:30 in the morning. 5 o'clock is where assembly for the parade started, and India Today is the only channel that got exclusive access, and you'll see those images that as the Indian contingent was marching down this Champs-Élysées, India Today was on board one of the French military vehicles. We were filming the parade for the dress rehearsal, and right now behind me, those final rehearsals are still underway ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit on the 14th to be a part of the Bastille Day. We are standing right at the saluting dais. So this is where the saluting dais is. Of course, that day there'll be major restrictions, but today India Today has got access to show you this place. There is tremendous enthusiasm amongst the French not just the army personnel or the armed forces personnel, but even amongst civilians to come meet the Indian Army soldiers, because they've heard of the Indian Army. They've had a long association with the Indian Army. You'd recall both in the First World War and the Second World War, the Indian Army had fought here. In fact, the Punjab regiment very proudly boasts of having battle honours and theatre honours at France and Flanders. And that association continues. Several veterans of the French army came and met Indian Army soldiers. So this association between India and France is only becoming stronger. Let me also show you some other images around. This is the saluting dais. This is the parade ground, and this is the parade that is now slowly moving away. Now, when you look at these people, they are carrying the flag of various regiments and various ships of the French armed forces, and there's a prayer that is also carried out in the end. So at the end of that 2-hour-long parade that we will witness on Bastille Day, India Today is getting you minute by minute account of what we will witness on the 14th of July.